Hey everyone, today I'm going to be talking about something that hits close to home language. So, I personally have lived in 9 states and a couple of countries. So, today I'm going to focus on my formative high school years, specifically the slang, jargon, and accents that are unique to central Illinois. It's where I spent my teenage years. Every region has its own way of speaking, and Central Illinois is no exception. So we'll dive into the language and hear how it's evolved over time and what cultural factors might explain these changes. So, growing up or spending time in Central Illinois, you'll quickly notice a few things about how people talk. There's the basic Midwest accent, which I have worked really hard to lose. In fact, I kind of act like a chameleon since I've moved around, and I can pick up the regional accents wherever I'm at after a couple of drinks pretty easily. The Midwestern accent is more neutral compared to more specifically the East Coast regions in my mind. But there are some pretty distinct features. Like you'll hear a lot of people say wash. Like you got to go wash the car instead of the word wash, or call it a crick instead of a creek, like a small stream running through, the backyard. And when it comes to slang, there is one word that is universal around all of the Midwest, and that is "op," which is just used in place of like sorry or oops when you bump into somebody. There's this geez Louise kind of phrase that is surprise or frustration. There's also the very Canadian overuse of the word sorry. So if you hear somebody say, go grab me a pop, they're asking for a soda. Now that's kind of different depending on where you fall in the central Illinois scheme of things. In fact, where I grew up is halfway between Chicago and St. Louis. And most of the Cardinals fans will say soda. Most of the Cubs fans will say pop. And most of the White Sox fans will say Coke. Not quite sure why, but that's just what I found out. So, over the years, I've noticed that some slang and accents have shifted. For instance, like now the younger kids are using words like lit and savage and beta. And whenever I was a kid, we would use words that were like cool and rad and dope. On the other hand, there are some other words that are just kind of gone away forever, like feller to talk about, the guy over there, that feller, or reckon to suppose, like I reckon that happened. They pretty much faded from speech. In terms of accents, you'll still hear that flat A sound, but it's coming less and less distinct as people are exposed to TV shows and the internet. But several cultural factors can explain these changes of slang and accents. Social media is probably the biggest. I grew up with Facebook. Now it's TikTok and Instagram, YouTube. All of these international players seem to have the more distinct accents as opposed to America, where we seem to be more and more blended compared to the Aussies or the English speaking Europeans. Um, Illinois, like a lot of places in the United States, have had a big influx of people moving for cost of living reasons and everything. So that's bringing in, new voices, new sounds, and you really can't ignore media and television. But, anyways, in conclusion, we talked about Central Illinois and how some of the cultural traditions attached to the accent maybe being overly apologetic or the Canadian nice, they're starting to kind of go away. You're still going to hear people say "ope" all the time, and you'll still hear those northern O's and A's. Don't you know? But the shifts are becoming more nationalized to kind of just reflect how all of America and all of the world is becoming more and more globalized as we consume media from every corner of the earth. Thanks for your time.